rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning whiz is always best. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god,
man.
Shizzy breaks
No
Larry.
way.
Shizzy broke Larry.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes, I can boomer this like no other. Good morning. Let's try that again. Good to see every single one of you. I have really cold. You stop reading my mind. Yes, it is cold this morning. Very cold, and it's not as cold as it's going to get. It's still got to drop another 10 degrees before it's supposed to hit the coldest that it's supposed to hit. No fun. So I feel for every single one of you that it has to deal with cold temperatures today's, just like when I did last night. What? I had no audio last night? I could have sworn I had audio last night. Mm. Or was I muted last night? Oh well, it happens. What you say? Eh? Eh? Can't quite hear you. How is everybody doing this morning? Good to see you. Yes, it is gonna be another beautiful day. We hope. Outside of the cold, it is going to be just fine. We're gonna get through all of this and be happy. It's 12 above this morning and a miracle. Yeah, today it is really cold. It is 24 degrees right now. That's, yeah, oh, that's nothing. Yeah, but it's Georgia. Georgia doesn't get this cold. So that's why it's like freezing here today. It's currently 1 degree. No, just no. That does not sound good at all. I don't like the cold. I've I've despised the cold so long. I just want it to stop. I really do. I just don't like the cold. negative 24. Mm, that just hurts my brain thinking about it. Always, always cold. Oh my gosh, what do we have here today? Oh my, oh my. Trump's success hinges on walking back the wars. By the simplest definition, if you look at their fiscal and military balance sheet, Ukraine and Israel are currently failed states. Creatures of Washington funding, neither can function without massive subsidies from U.S. taxpayers. The success of President Trump's domestic agenda hinges on how he handles these two
Carol
countries.
Anderson has become a member.
Oh, thank you, Carol Anderson, for becoming a member of this mess that we call the morning stream. Carol Anderson, thank you so much. Hey, you are appreciated. You are one of the few that have joined the stream, and you won't believe the kind of music videos and stuff like that that you're going to end up with before everybody else does. And then you get a nice little star right up here on top of the helmet. Oh yeah, this thing is getting covered. My goal by the end of the year is have this thing where you can't see a splotch of the white on here because it's gotten covered up by stickers. That's my goal this year, just to get that thing covered up. It's it's been really interesting. But welcome very much. Yeah, going back to bed but listening. Think of me. Each has ambitious military goals that will require billions more to achieve. For Ukraine, it would require a massive expenditure of blood and treasure to restore the country to its pre-war borders. It has neither the manpower nor the ability to beat back a Russian advance on its own, and Ukraine should have cut a deal long ago. It is wishful thinking to believe it would win an extended war with Russia. It needed a very quick victory and a quick settlement, given Russia's military ability to grind on, inching its way across Ukraine. All Biden's horses and all Biden's men couldn't put Zelensky back together again, and in a backhanded compliment to tariffs and protectionism, the economists have put Russia's economic growth last year at between 3.2 and 4.2%. In part, this is thanks to the sanctions that forced the country to be more self-sufficient. It seems Biden indirectly exported Alexander Hamilton and Henry Clay's American system of protectionism to Russia, or was it just new military production? Likewise, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made a strategic blunder at the beginning of his war planning. Rather than opting for a short, swift battle and quick hostage exchange, he violated the principles of war advocated by General George S. Patton and General Douglas MacArthur. Their style was to think strategically and use minimal force for maximum results while putting a high priority on avoiding civilian casualties. But that would have not been possible. In that particular war, it would have not been possible. Both adamantly opposed the bombing of civilian populations. They saw that as costly and counterproductive. Yeah, that's completely different. So whoever wrote this must not know how Hamas was doing this. You don't normally put, missile silos and rocket launchers in schools and hospitals. They saw that as costly and counterproductive. When a Assistant Secretary of War John J. McCloy visited Patton on the front, the general told his old friend, "We all feel that indiscriminate bombing has no military value and is cruel and wasteful." Patton recommended that the bombers concentrate on purely military targets, not population centers, but those were the military targets. You couldn't go after the other targets because there were none. They put bunkers underneath hospitals. They dug in underneath hospitals. So if you're going to hit them, you're going to have to hit those hospitals. And that's whoever wrote this must not know what Hamas's strategy was. Netanyahu followed the old dictum, never let a crisis go to waste, and tried to achieve five often conflicting objectives at once. He wanted to appease the greater Israel advocates in his government by expanding Israeli territory, eliminate Hamas, the military arm of the Palestinian Arab resistance, and three, ethnically cleanse Gaza and the West Bank and incorporate them into Israel. That is not true. bomb Iranian military assets and cut off supplies to Israel's enemies, and 5, return the hostages. Well, his results are mixed regarding border expansion. When Netanyahu held up a map of Israel at the UN last year, it didn't help his case. He literally wiped Palestine territory off the map he was holding. Opponents who claim he wants a land grab to obtain valuable natural gas reserves in Gaza had a field day with that. He has also taken the Golan Heights and moved Israel forces deep into Syria, further stretching his military. Hamas has suffered significant casualties, notably the assassination of key leaders, but new recruitment has been strong. Nothing spurs recruitment like the killing of a young man's mother, father, brother, sister, or cousins, and leaders are always replaceable by ambitious followers. The drawback of the sledgehammer approach is the desire for revenge. It engenders an enemy, and if peace, normalcy, and a return to your home are not an option since your home was blown up, people do desperate things. As for the decision to bomb the infrastructure and civilian population of Gaza back into the Stone Age, it has not emptied the land of its population. Instead, it scandalized public opinion and brought charges by an international court against Netanyahu for crimes against humanity and war crimes. Not the best PR look. Yeah, but whoever wrote this, they must not really know what exactly is going on there. I mean, I have a hard time reading this because he is dropping things that other people have noted already. Just saying. So Hamas has suffered significant casualties, notably okay, I read that. The drawback, sledgehammer, as for the bombing. Oh, as for the decision to bomb the infrastructure and civilian population back in the Stone Age, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. This guy is not he's not on top of it. It looks the threat to make war with Iran led Russia and Iran to sign their treaty of cooperation last month. It's not a full military alliance, but it brings traditional enemies, Russia and Iran, closer. Many Russians live in Israel, so Putin has to walk a fine line. But flipping the bird to Tehran with bombing run just got more complicated for Netanyahu. It now has the potential to make the U.S. versus Russia a proxy war. That said, he did derail military supply lines going through Syria when, after decades of pressure, Assad fell. As for the return of hostages, the Biden administration said the deal was ready to be made last summer. 6 months later, with bombing destroying almost all infrastructure in Gaza on starvation diet, how many hostages can realistically be said to be alive? If that was a top war aim, it was a missed opportunity. No, they never planned on doing that. They wanted to use those hostages. Sorry, Greg, you're just wrong, 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 and wrong many, many different ways. I just have to disagree with this guy. Will Netanyahu restart military action soon? President Trump has cut him loose on that one. He said that it is an internal matter for Israel and is for Iran. Trump seems in no hurry to break the peace on that front. He has other top priorities. I disagree with you there. By packaging so many political, economic, military goals into one war, Netanyahu looks more and more like a jack of all trades and a master of none. No, that's not true also. And for all his pro-Israel talk, Trump has no interest in committing his administration to an ongoing quagmire that might derail his domestic agenda. Well, I do agree with that there. Or upset a grand diplomatic bargain with Russia and China. If Trump doesn't come up with a quick fix, maybe he is just hoping Israel and Hamas will back into their corners and postpone fighting until he leaves office. This fight has been going on since 1948. Forever wars aren't his thing. His heart is on his domestic agenda. Not true. Not true. We are an ally of Israel, and we will support Israel with anything up to troops, from what I understand. So that is not, this guy's got it wrong on so many fronts. But like I said, you can't always be right. Top of the morning. Good morning, LRG. Good to see you. Good to see you. So as promised, Trump hits Latin America gangs, cartels with the terrorist label. State Department came under new Chief Marco Rubio, himself just back from providing a humiliating history lesson to CBS News. Mark Brennan today slapped the foreign terrorist organization FTO label on no fewer than 8 Latin American gangs and drug cartels. The new FTOs include I am not even going to be able to say these names. I'm going to say Trendy Arugula, Mara Slakavakaracha, the Cartel de Sayanola, the Cartel de Jusilasa Nueva Generation, Cartel Unidos, Cartel del Noreste, Cartel de Golfo, the Cartel of the Gulf, uh, the new family of mariachis. Those groups now find themselves in the same legal company as Al Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, and Boko Haram. So what does it mean in practice? The short version is nobody knows. Those Islamic terrorist groups are still in business. Al Qaeda joined the list in 1999, yet still managed to pull off the attacks of 9/11 and survive 2 decades of war in Afghanistan and global manhunts, albeit in diminished form. Despite having terrorism right there in the title, an FTO designation does not automatically make it legal to shoot or blow up members of an FTO, which seems to be why everybody is talking about it on X today. I think the average American is greatly underestimating what it will take to take out the cartels. Jesse Kelly warned just hours before the state announced the FTOs, this will not be Sakaro 2, this will be Vietnam. Not saying it's wrong to try, but don't blow that off as some tiny thing. Indeed, it's been over a century since we last indulged in military operations in northern Mexico, and General John Pershing's 1916 to 17 punitive expedition against Pancho Villa didn't accomplish much. John Cardillo replied with a little bit more optimism. He said, "Yeah, but they've never gone up against an uncompromised adversary. Not that I'm saying some drone strikes and airstrikes are going to win this thing, but the Mexican military is also severely compromised, as are the federales, state and local cops work exclusively for it, cartels. More state and local cops work exclusively for the cartels, might have a robust intelligence network, but they've never gone head to head with the United States, and it won't be easy, but we shouldn't overestimate their capabilities. Many of their soldiers are low IQ thugs without any real training. Chapo was long thought to be invincible until the United States really wanted him. Once we did, well, we did get him. But going to actual war against the cartels could prove to be a game of whack-a-mole with too much cash to be made, and always somebody's ready to step in, as Buck Sexton noted. I'd add that drug money tends to corrupt even those trying to fight it, something that you'd hate to see happen again to the U.S. military. The longer version is that the FTO designation carries with it a range of legal options that we can take a look at. First come the financial sanctions, making it illegal for Americans or American businesses or NGOs to provide any kind of material support, and any assets held in U.S. banks are now frozen. For obvious reason, drug running is a cash-intensive business already. By the time cartel money hits American banks, I assume it's been laundered cleaner than Hillary Clinton's email servers. There are also enhanced federal criminal penalties, up to 20 years in prison for anyone providing support to an FTO. Then there are the immigration restrictions. Members or representatives of FTOs are barred entry, and even those already here are subject to deportation. That's already in line with Donald Trump's efforts to restore some semblance of order to our southern border and execute mass deportations of illegals. So, again, the FTO doesn't seem to do anything we aren't already doing. Mostly, then, what the FTO seems to mean against the cartels is additional legal scrutiny. And that's no small thing. The most famous example is Al Capone, convicted of tax evasion, but never for bootlegging or murder or any of his other extracurricular activities. We also have Trump as POTUS, who's more than willing to twist arms in Mexico City if that's what it takes to get some better help on the other side of the border. I'd also take a good hard look at where the drug money goes in Mexico and sanction accordingly. Now, I'm not opposed, at least in theory, to using military force against cartels. That said, even if military action didn't prove to be as bloody and difficult as Kelly fears, it might end up being more frustrating than Sexton imagines. I I might I might be smarter than to stick it might be smarter to stick with the FTO designation's broader legal powers against the cartels and keep our powder dry for the Chinese. That's a pretty good take on there, Steve. Mother Nature is in menopause. God, that's pretty funny. Mother Nature is in menopause. Jeez, oh jeez. What do we have here? Oh boy. Christianity Today CEO denies left-wing funding and bias from atop his high horse. A couple of weeks ago, who is this that wrote this? Chris Queen wrote about how Christianity Today, the increasingly left-leaning evangelical magazine, lamented the exposure of USAID, even though the magazine had taken federal government grants, according to information from Data Republic. It turns out that those grants were CUF-era employee retention tax credits, and I corrected my reporting of that part of the story. I still don't understand why corporations were taking those tax credits in 2023, but that's above my pay grade. However, David Morrell, publisher of Protestia, asks, is it ethical, moral for a Christian organization with increasing income to claim federal tax dollars explicitly intended to help companies with falling income, particularly to the tune of 1.1 million more than the taxes they actually paid and were more capable of paying? Christianity Today's CEO, Timothy Dalrymple, reacted to the allegation that his magazine took money from the government with the highest of dudgeon penning an editorial on Valentine's Day. He wrote, last week, rumors spread on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, that Christianity Today had received government funding in 2023. News influencers who have long been critical of us amplified these claims. It's extreme form. They claim we received $9 million in grants from USAID and we're therefore on a Biden payroll. The hysteria around USAID is having catastrophic consequences, not only for Christian ministries doing life-saving work around the world, but more importantly for poor and vulnerable people they serve. A careful conversation around whether and when ministries should partner with government agencies and where corruption might be weeded out is wise. Throwing these ministries and people into the flames and dancing around the bonfire is not. Well, here Christianity Today goes again with its panties in a wad because of the USAID cuts. The Bible doesn't call for governments to fund ministries, and Dalrymple ought to know that. Then again, if he acknowledges that truth, it takes away his opportunity to virtue signal. Speaking of virtual signaling, Dalrymple also tackled the notion of Christianity Today's leftward bias from atop his high horse. His thesis is that because leftists occasionally don't like the magazine content, we should dismiss the leftward drift that the magazine has been on for years. He also wants us to believe that because the magazine rebuffs some Biden administration propaganda, we should just ignore the rest of the magazine's leftism. Some of our critics might be surprised to learn, though, that they should not be, that we declined to publish a piece by then President Joe Biden in 2021 because we found it too political, he wrote. We also declined to conduct an interview with President Biden amid the 2024 campaign because it would have felt imbalanced to do so for one candidate and not another. These are not the actions of an organization beholden to the Biden administration. Well, forgive me if I sound jaded here, but I can't help but think that Christianity Today's editors just didn't want to have an interview with Donald Trump, too. Okay, so Christianity Today didn't directly receive USAID funding, but editor-in-chief Russell Moore has benefited from the largest of USAID and left-wing foundations, and he's been clear about his never Trumpism as well as his disdain for conservatism that doesn't fit with his ideological bubble. Moore is one of the creators of the anti-Trump after-party small group curriculum, which I wrote about last year. Moore hawked that after the after-party in Christianity Today newsletters and podcasts. Last year, I wrote about how Moore and his after-party collaborators, David French and Curtis Chang, have attacked Trump-supporting Christians repeatedly. And for all the talk of evangelicals making an idol out of Trump, which is a legitimate problem, these three have bowed to the idol of never Trump for years. Chang even blinded the American church for the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot. After-party folks couldn't acquire funding from traditional Christian publishers or organizations, so they reached left to shake the money tree. The Rockefeller Foundation ponied up from the same fund that it uses to donate to climate justice and gay rights causes, and foundations with ties to BLM and abortion helped fund the after party as well. But the biggest names in the after party is Trump derangement syndrome patient zero himself, Bill Kristol. Megan Basham notes that Kristol's Defending Democracy Together is a highly partisan and anti-Trump political group. To help finance the after party, Defending Democracy Together indirectly received USAID funds. Basham also writes that Dalrymple also does not clearly address the nature of the $7 million in grants that Christianity Today has received from the Lilly Endowment of Eli Lilly pharmaceutical fame, $5 million of which has stated purpose of more global diversity and minded coverage. Does that strike you as nonpartisan or balanced? Dalrymple can shout from his high horse all he wants, but the truth proves him wrong. Even if his magazine didn't get USAID money, it's still receiving dirty left-wing money, and his editor is promoting his leftist-funded pet project through the magazine. He can also crow about nonpartisanship until he's blue in the face. But Chris Queen has proven time and time again that Christianity Today is abandoning conservative Christianity to tackle faith issues from an increasingly left-leaning perspective, and that's a shame because a once essential periodical for Christians is leaving so many of them in the cold. No more working like a man, sister. Take it easy. Be right back to refill. Oh, well, Stormy, it is getting close to that time. I've got another couple of minutes before I go and get a new refill of coffee. But you keep yours, you keep that coming for you. Keep on rolling. Mm, mm, mm. How good it is. Now, I don't follow any of the hard Christian things. That's not my thing at all. So I just found it an interesting story and how easily that a lot of these news articles and such can be construed one way or the other, one group, and they have to have some sort of purity test. I don't know. To me, I don't like the purity test. I mean, it does tell you where people stand, and honesty is always a good way of keeping it. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see more of the honesty of news articles and these periodicals that people read. Elon cut off grandma's Social Security. Hell, she lived through the Civil War. Now this. That's true. Oh, I hope you guys got to catch some of Camelot stream last night. That was hilarious. Oh, I was in the back listening for a bit and enjoying it. It was a very, 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 very good stream that he was having there. All right, what do we got here? We have The Far Left's Betrayal of Ukraine Part 2, The Wrath of Conmen. But before I get into that, oh boy. I've got to show you something that I saw. I saw that Nick Starro posted up on the Twitter, and I've just got to share it with you. So here we go.
But there is a big difference in how I felt in that as soon as I left the house, I felt the most enormous wave of relief wash over me because I knew from that moment on, Aida would be safe. Aida would be safe from the sexual abuse that her mother was perpetrating on her. And there is proof to that the state is hiding from you.
Instruct him to be quiet.
Okay, you need to stop talking.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Bam. Bam. Yeah. That was a mic drop moment. If I say so myself, that was an absolute mic drop moment. Yeah. Yeah, that right there happened yesterday. That was just no big F's to give whatsoever. You must be near me. I'm also 57D in Mad Beach area. Mm, 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 mm. Oh, what? All right. This next one I'm going to show you has music to it, so there won't be any music being shown on here. But this is something somebody provided. That was a trial. That's happening during a trial. If you want to know more, you'd have to go check out Nick Starro, and he's covering that particular case. Yeah, if you want to know more about that, that is Nick Starro. And here we go. Photographer takes photos of dogs just before they catch treats. This is awesome. Ah, look at that. I love it. I love it. Look, they just all look really there's some of these look really goofy. I thought it was pretty neat. I had to share that with you guys. The funny part is the music that they have playing that is to the Muppets outro. Stormy, you're getting your will done today? Gosh, yeah. My wife and I we put together a will quite some time back. Oh my. Tell me now this I can't verify, but they say this is what happened in Detroit. And it's that they had floods and then a freeze.
Lynn Britton has become a member.
This is insane. Holy hell. That's insane. Tell me that that's not what it looks like in Detroit right now. That is absolutely insane. Oh, thank you very much, Lynn Britton, for becoming the newest member. Welcome to the Nut House. I appreciate it. I appreciate you so much. Thank you very much. And that gets a nice little spot. And like I said, I'm clearing up all of the light color here. We're gonna make this thing all nice one solid, you know, colorful stars. Colorful stars. Thank you very much, Lynn. And as always, you will get any sort of music videos that come out usually quite a bit ahead of time. Yeah, it's ice skating time. I mean, could you imagine the amount of damage that this caused to cars? Oh, no, thank you. Our Detroit City Council so corrupt that so much infrastructure needs to be renovated. It's insane. 54 main from 30s broke. Ooh. Ooh. Wow. 54 inches main from 30s broke. Jeez Louise. Oof, 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 oof. Oh, crap. And I thought my driveway was bad. I live in Michigan and I can verify that this is actually true. Oh, hey, Joe. Man, that would suck so bad. And it's just, oh, no, no, and no. No, 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 no. Yeah, I mean, we see, what was it last year? I'm trying to think if it was last year. Was it last year? God, time flies whenever you're having fun. Last year we had a record amount of rain in was it February? Like the very end of February. We had I want to say it was 8 inches of rain fell, or was it more than that? No, it was more than that. Oh, well, I know that we got 8 inches in 1 hour. 8 inches of rain came down in 1 hour. And I was in my basement where I'm at now because, well, I have an office here. I was in my basement actually on the other side of the room over here from where I am now. And I was sitting there and my chair is on a, it's not anymore, I'll explain why, but it's on this plastic thing because I had carpeting down. And oh, what happened that day? Something happened. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. That we had a, my wife had come down, or well, that morning she goes, we got all this rain and it's leaking in the bathroom. It's like the it was dripping into like where the sink and the toilet sit, and it was dripping like in a master bath. It's like coming out of the ceiling. And I'm like, well, there's nothing I could do about it this morning. I mean, I can't go up on the roof, especially in this rain. That's a bad idea because it's raining and storming and not looking good. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll take a look at it later and we'll see what's going on. Um, and and I think was I doing a stream that day? I don't remember if I was doing a stream that day, but I went and I did look and I could see where it was coming through. So she contacted the insurance company to like get somebody to come out and, sort of get this taken care of. And then, of course, they said there's nothing we can do right now. Here's how you go about filing a claim. So that's what she started to do, was file the claim. Well, I was doing a stream and she came down as my stream finished up. She goes, "Hey, did is this leaking all the way into the basement?" At that time, which I didn't notice because I was sitting on a plastic pad, that the water had reached the side of the house, like the entire side of the house, and was leaking all around me, soaking up into the carpet and also in the crawl space. It's not really a crawl space, it's because you walk in there. Where the furnace sits was more water, and the floor was completely soaked all the way down the hall. We've got a pretty spacious area down here in the basement. Most of it is tiled out except for this room and a bedroom that's right next to it. So completely tiled out. And we ended up with so much rain that I couldn't even get it all up. I mean, I had the what do you call it? The little uh she's got like a steam cleaner, one of those vacuum rug cleaner things that sucks up water. Hope you didn't have State Farm or Allstate. No, I think it's what was it? Travelers. I think that's the one that we're under. So, I'm sucking up all this water. I think I ended up pulling out like 4 or 5 gallons of water just out of the carpet itself. And there was still more coming. Um, Needless to say, we ended up having to gut 2 rooms, um, pull off all of the drywall on the base of it, dry it all out, and we had to have somebody come dig up our entire front yard, to seal the leak. What there was is there was an old system in here for draining that water that, it, uh it was like a ceramic pipe that supposedly runs into the sewage itself, and that right there, was supposed to drain into it, and it's got like a two-way valve or something like that. Most likely, they said that either just got destroyed whenever they did the front yard renovation initially, an old crock pipe. Yeah, it's a terracotta pipe, and, so they they dug all that out, sealed the foundation, um, and, got all of that taken care of. I mean, this house was built in what, the late '50s, early '60s, something like that. So, yeah, and so we had massive flooding. I couldn't use my basement for, well, what was it? Probably close to 3 months, 2 months, something like that, while they were getting everything repaired. Um, yeah, that was a costly thing at the very beginning of the year. So seeing, I don't like floods, especially whenever they happen in my house. But it got under control after quite a bit of money. It's all fixed up now, and we as much rain as we've gotten, and we have gotten what over the past last week. I think we got a total of like 5 inches of rain in just less than like 4 days. But imagine I think it was 12 or 13 inches of rain we got in late February. It was a lot. I mean, it just was, and it was torrential downpour. It was constant torrential downpour for quite a bit of time. And then it just, you know, it was a weird year. Last year was a weird year. Hey, that's shorts weather. Yeah, morning shizzy and chat from 17 degrees in East Texas. Yeah, it's supposed to get down to 17 degrees here. Welcome, welcome, East Texas cowboy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, we're gonna play just a quick little music here for you guys, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna go top off my coffee cup, and then I've got some more stuff for you to come out. Give me just a second. Why are my clips? Oh, there they are. I was like, did my clips all go away? All right, here we go. Give a little shout, give a little dance, and I'll be right back.
Step aside, y'all, it's my time to shine. I'm feeling the groove with these hips of mine. Hands in the air like spaghetti gone rogue. My knees are jelly and my hips just broke. Shaking it, breaking it, what a blast. Wobble it, wiggle it, shake that ass. Do a jig or a jog, wiggle it to the side, or break that hip bone by moving your ass. Step up or stand aside. My shoulders pop like a rusty hinge. My fingers point like they're on a binge. Twirl like a tornado, then drop real low. It's not planned, it's a shit sideshow. I've got the rhythm of a clock that's broke. My dance floor moves are a big effing joke. Shaking it, breaking it, what a blast. Wobble it, wiggle it, shake that ass. Do a jig or a jog, wiggle it to the side, or break that hip bone by moving your ass. Step up or stand aside. Rig like lava lamp, mesmerizing glow. You can't help but watch me steal the show. I summon the shake, the shimmy, the twist, a mix of genius and a big old fist. You're drawn in close, your feet start to twitch, feeling the groove like a broke-ass bitch. Yeah! Shaking it, breaking it, what a blast. Wobble it, wiggle it, shake that ass. Do a jig or a jog, wiggle it to the side, or break that hip bone by moving your ass. Step up or stand aside. Now we're all in the shake, no need to be shy. Move like spaghetti and reach for the sky. We'll dance like we're cursed, laugh to a sore. Shizzy whiz nut reigns forevermore. So join the dance, let your weirdness unfurl. We're shaking ass, not a care in the world.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Niece, that's awesome. Niece is getting married today. So all the ladies going to be doing all the primping and makeup and hair and etc. today. Oh, that is going to be very cool. That's very cool. As the catchiest tunes. Yeah, I try to have some pretty catchy tunes. And I mean, sometimes they're I'm not happy with the way a song turns out, so I come back and I like fix them and make them better. I try to keep things that I like, and hopefully you guys enjoy them too. Even if it's not your style of music, sometimes there's something in there that you're like, "Hmm, that was pretty good." This next one I saw, and I have to share it with you because I just thought it was glorious. I thought it was glorious.
Now, first they hated him, now they hate both of you.
Well, I think we're seeing an antibody reaction from those who are receiving the wasteful and fraudulent money.
They're being exposed.
Yes.
Nobody wants to be exposed when
I'll
you're fraud.
tell you a lesson I learned at PayPal. You know who complained the loudest, and the quickest and the loudest and with the most amount of righteous indignation? The fraudsters. That's who complained first, loudest, and they would generally have this immense overreaction. That's how we knew they were the fraudsters.
Yeah.
That's how we knew.
Now,
See, that was this is somebody that's been around in this kind of business. Good morning. You're never late, Steve Smith. You are right here exactly at the time that you needed to be here. So you are never late. You came in at the right exact time. The exact right time. You have this one here. The far left's betrayal of Ukraine Part 2, The Wrath of Conmen. Last year, Donald Trump was literally the little mustachioed Australian artist. Last week, Trump was literally Napoleon, and today he's literally Chamberlain. Not the good Chamberlain either, i.e., Wilt, the stilt Chamberlain, whose second best sport was basketball. I'm talking about the bad Chamberlain, ex-Prime Minister of Britain, Neville Chamberlain, Mr. Peace of our time. These historical comparisons are flying fast and furious. I can't tell you if I'm reading the news or playing political Jeopardy, but it's true. Trump is literally Chamberlain. At least that's what they're saying this week in the funny pages. LA Times, Political, The New Yorker, Post and Courier, Kyiv Post, The Telegraph, The Spectator, Daily Mail, The Telegraph, Sky News, The Herald, The Mirror, CBC, Sky News, Daily Express. All of the above news stories came out over just the past week. Many years from now, historians will be perplexed by the mainstream media's fascination with constantly comparing Donald Trump, one of history's astonishing unique leaders, with absolutely everyone else, from the little mustachioed to Napoleon to Chamberlain to God who knows who's next. Lucifer, I've got news for you. Trump isn't the next Napoleon, the next artist, or even the next Chamberlain. He's the first Trump. And despite the liberal hysteria about Trump's so-called appeasement, he's humanity's best hope to end a brutal, bloody war that's already cost Ukraine 10 million people. Russia is in demographic free fall as well. For so many centuries in a row, Russia and Ukraine have been continually melon scooping from the population pools in wars, invasions, famines, including man-made famines and tyranny. We're talking hundreds of millions of dead young men. It's tragic. The loss of life is irreplaceable, and today it's diminished both nations to threadbare husks of their former greatness. Just as Trump is the first Trump, Putin is probably the first Putin. I know we love to compare Putin to the little mustachioed guy, but in all candor, nobody can completely rule it out. Only the shadow knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men. So sure, it's possible Putin is a Austrian fanboy, but with a framed photo of that there guy on his nightstand. But more likely than not, I suspect that Putin is simply a Russian nationalist who's making risk-reward calculations on the world stage. He didn't try to take Ukraine to trigger World War III or to further this fever dream of the world domination, but because he thought he could get away with it. Putin is not a mindless zealot or a warmongering ideologue. He's immoral, Machiavellian, pro-Russian pragmatist. And that might not make him a good person, but it probably does make him someone we can negotiate with, and that's exactly what Trump is hoping to do. Furthermore, if Putin is wearing the literally mustache this week, wouldn't that create more urgency for Trump's mission? If Putin is literally that guy, then our best bet for sidestepping World War III and or a nuclear Armageddon is to maximize Trump's negotiating leverage. As we discussed in yesterday's article, The Art of Sabotage, the Far Left's Betrayal of Ukraine is Coming. If the far left actually gave one damn about the Ukrainian people, they'd be working overtime to maximize Trump's leverage. Our allies in Europe would be doubling down on their military budgets, increasing their troop size, and rattling their sabers at the Reds. They would fund a larger army. They'd proudly align themselves with American foreign policy, bolster Trump's stature, and do everything possible to elevate his profile. It's simple math. The stronger Trump is, the more leverage he has over Putin. Besides, the consequences of not getting a deal done could literally be World War III. As much as the far left hates Donald Trump, they must fear World War III even more, right? Well, not really. Instead, we're witnessing the opposite. The far left is teaming with the scattered remnants of the neocon movement, coupled with the organizational heft of deep state cronies to sabotage Trump's peace talks with Russia. They vehemently oppose any solution that rewards Putin for his aggression. Instead, the only acceptable outcome is total Russian defeat. Putin behind bars and for Ukraine to reclaim all its former territory. Anything less is appeasement. But that's not realistic, nor does it recognize the cold, hard truth and the unforgiving realities of the battlefield. Russia has operational control over large areas of that Ukraine's military is unlikely to wrest back. So why on earth would Putin agree to return it? Because European leaders are calling him names? So what? Europe barely even has a military. With Western Europe's size and economy, it could have built a formidable army that served as strategic counterbalance to Russia. It wouldn't have taken too long either, just a few years, but it never did. Instead, it still wants America to come over and do all the fighting for it. Gabrielis Landsbergis, Lithuania's former foreign minister, was one of the few European leaders willing to recognize this con game. People who say that Europe must be at the table should remember that to be invited, you have to matter. If Europe commits to money, troops, and a European path for Ukraine, we will make our own table, and Ukraine, Putin, and Trump can be invited. But time's running out. He's right. Time is running out, especially for the Ukraine people. Yeah, he did have a better mustache than the little Austrian artist. Well, I have lots of flower arrangements all over the front room. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. It's just got to smell great in there. Texas is too hot and humid in the summer, especially the week I was in Galveston in July. Well, yeah. Yeah, Galveston. Whenever I went to Galveston to go visit a friend that used to hang out with, I was driving. The humidity was 120% humidity, and if you're wondering what that looks like, it looks like you're driving through a fog, and the temperature I think was sitting somewhere around 110 degrees. I mean, you have your windshield wipers on, and they're just, like, smearing water across it's and hot, humid. I mean, you get out and you're just immediately drenched. Yeah, that was a very interesting trip. I have never felt anything so oppressive in my life. My gosh. Well, up to then, and I felt some other things that are more oppressive, but that was definitely one of them. One of them that was pretty oppressive, but not as oppressive as these folks are right here. So oppressed.
Here's a thing to think about. Everything seems off, right? Just everything is off. We know it's off. Something is, well, we know it's a shit show. We got a shit show going on. And I've been going to the protests, and I've been protesting. I have not seen any counter protests.
Huh. Interesting, huh? They're going to these protests, and they're not seeing any counter protests. Nobody's counter protesting us because you don't matter. If you don't see any counter protests, that means that your protest doesn't matter. It's not worthwhile. It means that you're losing because nobody's counter protesting you. But let's see if she understands this. Let's see if she understands this. It's not planned. It's a shit sideshow. Oh yeah.
Here in Oklahoma, the reddest of red states, the state where dum-dums have been driving around with their stupid fucking flags on the back.
Like, like the American flags, that kind of thing. Like, these guys are so stupid. They love America. How dare they? The same America that allows these folks to protest, and they're upset. The counter protesters are all working. Yeah. Still have that song in your head. That's awesome, Fisher Lady. I try to keep songs in people's heads. It's fun.
Backs of their trucks, with the balls attached to the bottom.
Speaking of balls attached to the bottom, this is funny. So I was watching a little bit of Camelot last night. If you guys didn't catch it, he was having a blast over there. So I was watching a little bit of Camelot last night, and he's racing NASCAR. He's actually got another race coming up, and he had he says there's still room for for sponsors, corporate sponsors to get their names put on his car. And he was saying, that people forget that costs money. It's not like we're just going to put your name on the car. Like, you have to invest something. You're sponsoring the car, and then you sponsor the car, and you get you get that on there. And so my question to him was, how much does it cost to have a pair of bumper balls? Just have those dragging around the track as you're doing like hundreds of miles an hour. They're just dragging and scraping. We'll call them the shizzy whiz nuts. She's mad about truck nuts. Exactly, Ruckus. That's the funny part. She's mad about truck nuts. But I hit Camel Hot up, and I was just like, how much to have a set of balls hanging off of it? He goes, man, that's illegal in a lot of states. I don't know. It'd still be funny. Oh, that would be hilarious just to have. See, that's like just dangling along. You probably can't do that, just because they would get the possibility of something flying off and going through someone's windshield is too great. Mm. But it would be funny.
This is crazy. It's stupid.
Mm.
But I haven't seen one of those people. Not one. That's weird. It's weird. Right?
No.
I mean, I think there's been some in some of the other markets, kind of, but
Markets, like protesting is a market. Here's an idea, sweetheart. It's a novel thought. It's a novel thought. But go get a fucking job. If your job is going out to protest, that seems like a pretty miserable existence. I mean, why is she wearing my great grandmother's glasses too? I mean, it's weird. Just weird. Like, these, like, I think my father wore glasses like that too. It's ah ah it's creepy. It's creepy. No, sweetheart. Here's the thing. The reason you're not seeing the Kona protesters, like Chat said, like East Texas Cowboy says, the counter protesters are all working. Every single one of them are busy. When I was a young guy, one of the first things I realized is I'm so lucky and thankful you live in the US. Exactly. Exactly. It doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is. All that matters is you should be happy to be inside the United States. It allows you that kind of beautiful amount of being able to say things freely like you couldn't say before. I mean, United States is pretty good for doing that. And you don't get that everywhere else. And I can't verify this. I gotta see if there's music. I think there is. Yeah, there is music. So what we have here is, and I'm gonna mute this really quick. So I can't verify this. I hear that this was some sort of advertisement for the your husband wants truck nuts. Do you think I should be concerned that he wants a second set of nuts? I can 3D print them. That's the funny part is I can 3D print those. It's hilarious. I find them funny as all get out. But yeah, that's funny. I have flashbacks when I see glasses like that of your old senile great grandma chasing you around the coffee table. Think I stole her trailer. I was like 10 at the time. That's funny. Get a job, find a hobby, read a book, anything else than going out protesting. Yes. So this particular um part of the airline, now I can't, like I said, I can't verify this, but these were your pilots for that particular plane crash that happened not too long ago. They were yep, leave the men flying. I don't think so. We're female pilots. Yeah. This is Endeavor Air. Nope, this is Endeavor. Oop, this is Endeavor Air. This is Endeavor Air commercial when you have an unmanned flight crew basically kicking the men out. And this is how they were reacting. Yeah. All female pilots because we got rid of the men. And whenever they really start digging into this, now I can't verify these certain things at all, but from what I understand is that that plane hit so hard that it collapsed the landing gear. That the plane hit so hard it collapsed the landing gear. Not saying that one should be another, but instead of prioritizing gender or religion or anything else, how about get the best capable people to do the job? And then you don't end up with issues. I don't care. I don't care what the person is that's flying my plane. I want the best pilot flying my damn plane. Not so much gender comment, but flying with physical language requires a bit of strength in emergency situations and quick thinking and quick hand speed. The twitch reactions have to be very, very fast, which I don't think that they have them. Those particular pilots not necessarily do. Knowledge is power will get you on the ground safer. Exactly. And flight time, you know. It is amazing to think. I could speak my mind today and I know how amazing this country is. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with being able to speak your mind. Oh my gosh, let's remove that one there. But we do have this one here. All right. Let's pull this thing up right there. The morning briefing media hacks Trump gotcha questions aren't getting anyone. Happy Thursday, dear Cruiser Morning Briefing friends. That the Threadmund has become somewhat of a celebrity of the burgeoning avant-garde basting and buttering community. Today's chapter of the continuing chronicles of the Dems not just getting it brings us once again to their sad little lapdogs in the media. The poor pathetic dears are struggling mightily these days after finding out the Biden years being forced to cover their psychopathic rear ends for not noticing. Their version of the stories that the President of the United States was a drooling vegetable, they're now forced to contend with something they've never had before. Republicans who won't roll over and play dead for them. President Trump didn't push back at the Dems flying monkeys in the mainstream media during his first go at the presidency. He let their adversarial nonsense distracting him too much. Then, though he's picking his battles better this time around, he's also surrounded himself with people who, like him, have a lot of fight in them. These are heady times for those of us who long ago grew weary of watching Republicans letting media dullards run roughshod over them. The dutiful propagandists are doing their level best to smear President Trump as often as they can. They're just not having any success with it. We've seen some spectacular failures ever since Vice President J.D. Vance told Margaret Brennan that he didn't care. One of them, of course, was Brennan herself when she said that free speech caused the Holocaust. At this point, Brennan is the journalistic equivalent of a dog perpetually chasing its own tail, all the while trampling in its own feces. We had a couple of gems this week. Still, Brennan reaffirmed that she's a paste eater, and CNN's Brianna Keeler is absolutely dismantled by Trump advisor Stephen Miller. Victoria wrote about it here, and it offered this insight into the insipid Miss Kellier and their CNN host, Brianna Kellier. Kellier remains affected with Trump derangement syndrome, an offshoot of the woke mind virus that she highlights for her viewers for hours every week. She doesn't try to hide her biases, but instead sallies forth to get a gotcha moment against every GOP person who bothers to go on CNN. Her motives can't be trusted, of course, because she's not fair. Her worldview is woke, and everything else emanates from there. In her mind, people to the right of center are Yahtzees. Her questions begin with that assumption. That's a solid analysis of the most faux journo in the mainstream media. They all go for the gotcha questions or statements. They're not having any success with them now, but the Trump derangement syndrome makes them soldier on. Well, there's another reason, which we'll go to in a moment. The Trump derangement syndrome also makes them try to smear Trump, even when they're interviewing someone who isn't involved with his administration. The results are the same, though. My Red State colleague, Sister Toja, wrote about CBS's Gayle King getting embarrassed by Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian after she tried to shoehorn some Trump criticism into the conversation. Mainstream media hacks have been tasked by the Democrat National Committee with doing everything they can to slander President Trump. That's because the Democrat Party has nothing positive to offer the American people. They're desperately trying to gaslight something into existence that will distract from the fact that they are a party that's completely bereft of ideas that appeal to American voters. When Trump was president for the first time, the mainstream media had an easy time of finding people who would aid them in their Trump bashing. They're also struggling with that. President Trump and what he's doing are very popular right now, and there aren't as many people willing to throw him under the bus anymore. Brennan, Kellier, King, and their ilk haven't figured this out yet. And I wouldn't expect them to stop chasing their tails anytime soon. And now we've got to open this for a surprise. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at the corgis. Look at the corgis. Oh, that's a lot of little corgis. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, puppies. I mean, what could be a happier thing to see than a bunch of little corgis early in the morning? Oh my, oh my, oh my. What do we got here? Well, there are crazy Karens, and this one is just one of them. You're gonna love this one. Oh boy. Here we go. Let's get this bad boy up for you.
Hey, what are you doing there? Hey,
Uh-huh.
yes. Why are you taking pictures of my car?
I'm with the HOA, and
Yeah.
an unlicensed car is not allowed to be parked in the driveway. It has to be in the garage, or
Right.
to be covered with a car cover.
Okay.
So I just wanted to let
And your name is what?
Igor, and I've left you some Charwell information,
Correct.
and so there's some information there. You can go online and find the documents that say that. And then also I'm going to let you know the pool code because I didn't write it in there.
Okay. Cool. I've got the cool code, and so the house is owned by Mike Bagwell. He's the one that maintains the HOA, so you can contact Mike.
Okay.
And appreciate you not creeping around my house.
Well, I tried to come and knock on your door.
No, you didn't.
So just letting you know.
And then take a picture of my tag, and
I will not submit the tag number, but I will have to submit the expiration.
No.
Okay. I thought you guys did stuff from the curb.
Yeah.
And weren't coming onto people's property.
Well, I would, but
Obvious that you got the car in. So
You backed the
Well,
car
actually,
in.
that's how they dropped it off when I asked them to tow it. So,
You moron.
well,
do you have a job?
yes,
Yeah.
I work from home.
Oh,
Okay,
figures.
cool. All right. Well, thanks for letting me know.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Could you imagine trespassing charges? Yeah. Could you imagine that you get these kind of people that, oh, I'm part of the HOA. I've got to come and correct you. You're doing things wrong, not to my liking. I've got to come after you. Oh my, oh my. She's the same person who will turn in her neighbors for thought crimes too. Exactly. Uh, what is this? Oh gosh, she says, look, I dart over to my phone from the other side of the gosh. Oh my. Yeah, because I showed you the corgis. And you're just that should be enough to excite anybody. Cheating, creating those false narratives. She looks like a creeper. Yeah, she looks like a typical Karen that's gonna get all upset over the weirdest things. And we have this right here. Officer, I'd like to report the wreck of another CNN news host. For decades, I've been in the news biz, especially on radio and TV, where sound and pictures are paramount, and a reporter must not be afraid to ask the simple, some might say dumb questions. A reporter usually gets the best answers by asking the simplest of questions. Follow-up questions are where the reporter gets crucial information and builds out a news story. And then there's CNN host Breonna Kellier. Kellier remains afflicted with Trump derangement syndrome, an offshoot of the woke mind virus that she highlights for her viewers for hours every week. She doesn't try to hide her biases, but instead sallies forth to get a gotcha moment against every GOP person who bothers to go on CNN. Her motives can't be trusted, of course, because she's not fair. Her worldview is woke, and everything else emanates from there. In her mind, people to the right of center are Yahtzees. Her questions begin with that assumption. But Trump advisor Stephen Miller may have cracked the code. Indeed, every person who's to the right of center should respond to Kelly's question with the same manner of Miller. Instead of sputtering, Miller answered the question in the simplest way, assuming that the woke CNN host really needed the answer to her rudimentary question. The net effect was that viewers became witness to a clash that left CNN host wrecked by the time it was all over. Officer, I'd like to report a hit and run of a news anchor, and it was all because she couldn't get out of her own head and realize that not everyone with an R after their name is a Yahtzee. Let's just hear what exactly happened.
In charge of Doge?
The President of the United States.
He's the administrator of Doge?
No, the Doge is what was formerly U.S. Digital Services. It's an agency of the federal government that reports into the executive office of the president, which reports to the President of the United States.
Okay.
The way that Article 2 works is the president wins an election, and then he appoints staff, including myself, including Mike Waltz, including Susie Wiles,
Yes.
including Elon Musk, and those staff report to him.
Okay, well aware. So Elon Musk a week ago answered a question about transparency at Doge. This is how he spoke about Doge.
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent.
Yeah.
So you hear him there. We post our actions. All of our actions are maximally transparent. Does Elon Musk know he's not in charge of Doge?
What are you talking about?
Again, the president runs the government, then the president appoints advisors, including Elon, including myself, including all the other staff here at the White House, and then those staff in turn execute the president's commands and directions to all the agencies of the federal government. This is how democracy works.
Yeah. She tends to forget this, but she is so hung up. She is so hung up that she just forgot that we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic. And I'll remind all of you again with that right here. Just remember this always.
Democracy is a form of government based upon the principle of majority rule. period. End of discussion. Now, that's not very complicated. Majority rule. It's easy to understand, easy to sell to the masses, and I might add, deadly. For example, what would you call a lynch mob? That's majority rule. There's only one dissenting vote, and he's at the end of the rope. Now, that's pure democracy in action. But wait a minute, you say. The majority should rule, yes, but not to the extent of destroying the rights of the minority. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer describing a democracy. We are speaking of a republic. A republic is a limited democracy. It's a form of government based upon the principle of limited majority rule. Limited so that the minority, even a minority of one, can be protected against the whims and passions of the majority. And how do you protect the minority from the majority? You write down a set of rules on a piece of paper. You say, this we can do, that we cannot. At the top of the paper, you write the word Constitution. And then everyone agrees to follow the rules no matter what the temptation. And when you're finished, you've created a constitutional republic.
Boom, right there. Every single time. And this must be shown right here. Yes, Betsy, when your husband and you were looking for your first house to buy, the realtor was showing a house in an HOA area or plan. We left before even looking at the house. And that is true. Now, I will say that HOAs do provide some good semblances, okay? And let me tell you how those things can work out really good. Say, for example, you're in your 60s or late 50s, for example, and you want to live in a neighborhood that people aren't allowed to have cars parked in their driveway disrepaired. You don't want to have you don't want to look at trash across your way, or you don't want to hear somebody doing some woodworking. You don't want to see political signs posted in the front yard. You don't want to have you want your streets to be like the perfect look, the uniformity, that particular thing. An HOA can be perfect for you. That there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're looking for. But you have to also know that that's what you're gonna get whenever you move in there, so that if you're the type of person that says, "I like to change my own oil, on my vehicle," that if you're part of an HOA, you're probably not gonna be able to do that unless you do it in your car or in your garage, and then they may have limits on what you can do. You can't exceed your footprint, you have to ask permission if you wanna paint your house a different color, all those kinds of things, but people that live in HOAs don't wanna have that. So, the neighborhood is clean and tidy, exactly, and it all just depends on where you're at in life, where you wanna be in life. Um, imagine, and I'll just use this example. Imagine, Otter Creek having an HOA. Do you think half the stuff that you see would be happening there? Probably not. So you have to keep that in mind, but very, very good observation, and especially if you're not wanting to be any part of that HOA. And yes, this is absolutely true. You have to remember newscasters are just spokespersons. Someone at a desk is pulling their strings. That is very, very true. And she gets owned so gloriously here.
Something that we treasure in America. The whole American people go to the ballot box, they elect the president appoints staff, the staff that administer his orders and directives across the whole U.S. government.
Okay, Stephen, I get that, but this is important because we want to talk about who's making the decisions here. There were 300 employees of the National Nuclear Security Administration. You know about this. They were fired. The agency had to rescind those terminations because these were employees who were critical to maintaining the nation's nuclear stockpile. So then who is it making those decisions of which federal employees are terminated?
The president. How many times does he have to tell you that the president is the one that makes those decisions? And then You love living. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing wrong with that. You're definitely not an HOA kind of gal. But see, here's the thing, Fisher Lady. There's a possibility whenever you get to a certain age that you may say, you know what, I have a neighbor, and my neighbor for the past, 20 years has had that same truck sitting in his front yard up on blocks. And it is I'm sick of seeing it, and I don't ever wanna deal with that again. Same way with me. I couldn't live at this point in my life in an HOA because I do woodworking. And I do quite a bit of it, and that right there would not be allowed in an HOA. You have different covenants that you have to abide by, and then you're paying these dues to have other people rule over you, which I don't find enjoyable either. Um but, at some point in my life, I may want to. Like, I can't live in an apartment. I refuse. I absolutely refuse to live in an apartment ever again. And that's just me. Why? Because, well, if you're on the top floor, you get people down below you that are always complaining that you're too loud walking around. If you live on the bottom floor, you got people above you that are constantly stopping around, and then you have to hear, like, the abuse of their children and stuff like that, as they call them, little bastards and assholes and crap like that. Or you have a neighbor that lives next to you that's a hoarder, and you wake up in the morning, you've got roaches all over your apartment because, they've basically turned their home into a pigsty, or they start cooking late at night. I don't Who knows what they're cooking at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then leave the stove on, and the apartment burns down and everything in it. So yeah, I have smells got yeah, the smells got me in an apartment. Yeah, I can't do apartments. That's me. And who still watches CNN and MSNBC? Um, about 60% of the population still watches CNN, NBC, MSNBC. I used to have cable, but now you don't. No, I mean they're still out there spreading the lies and propaganda, usually to the ill-informed. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. That's who's watching those. An Avid gardener. Yeah, exactly. And my wife is the same way. Like my wife loves to plant her own flowers and doesn't want to have an HOA telling her what she can and can't do. Well, that's not uncommon.
Well, in that case, the Secretary of Energy would be the one. So,
which answers to whom?
What you're describing with the cuts in the Department of Energy, those are directed by the Senate-confirmed Secretary of Energy.
Okay, so that was the Secretary of Energy's mistake.
Well, I wouldn't use the term mistake. I would say that it's pretty standard when you're downsizing government. You make cuts, you assess those cuts, you see who needs to be rehired, who needs to be kept, who needs to be
That's not what happened here, though, Stephen. You know that they were rescinded. These aren't normal things. These were terminations that were rescinded.
I understand that even a temporary interruption in federal employment is a great crisis and catastrophe for you and for CNN. What the American people see is a government that is finally delivering a promise of accountability under President Trump. You want to have a conversation about transparency? Let me ask you a question. Do you have any idea where the $22 billion that the Department of Health and Human Services provided to illegal aliens under Joe Biden is right now? $22 billion with the B. That's enough to provide a free house to every homeless veteran in America. Where's the $22 billion? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. Joe Biden just spent it, and now it's gone. Transparency begins with having an accounting of where every federal dollar is spent. And God bless President Trump for leading this effort.
Oh, so glorious. It's pretty basic, Kellier. And now you know why CNN's ratings are in the crapper. To give you an idea, CNN and Kellier's long walk off the journalistic short pier in 2022, she co-hosted a program with the departed Jim Acosta called Democracy in Peril, which was naturally about that bad orange man. Ratings to fill the spot that Chris Cuomo once occupied were abysmal, as the Wrap noted at the time. CNN's 9 p.m. hour averaged 556,000 total views, of whom just 139,000 were in the advertised coveted age demographic 25 to 54. Compare that to Fox News' Sean Hannity, who competed program averaged 2.965 1.85 million total viewers Monday to Monday, with 426,000 in the demo on average. CNN's average total viewership number was closer to what Fox News polled in the demo alone than it was competing with Hannity's total viewership. Happily for Kellyer, but unhappily for journalistic integrity, she still has a job, but plagued with the duty of having to ask questions that are subnormal to satisfy her producers, if not her Trump derangement syndrome afflicted viewers. Kellyer seems destined to replicate the stupidity of the past. Miller obliged her by answering her questions. Where Kellyer and the rest of CNN's staff failed was not by asking those in the Biden administration who was president. Now, that could have been interesting and newsworthy. Yes, it shows exactly how deranged that they're getting. But that doesn't stop there, because Dems are now complaining about a softball interview with the president. The phrase I've become fond of using the last decade or so is the Democrats act like nobody has the internet. They gaslight with facts that take maybe 11 seconds of Googling to disprove. While it's true that their low info base will lap up anything, they aren't winning to any undecided hearts and minds these days. That was one of their many big problems in the past election. Dems are also the party of the eternal sunshine of the spotless mind, readily forgetting any history that's inconvenient. Again, it's an easy sell to the kinds of people who think that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has a brain, but people who can tie their own shoes know what's what. I like to tie my Velcro shoes at least every morning. Democrats and their flying monkeys in the mainstream media leave themselves open to mockery and are too cocooned to know just how many people are mocking them. In the month that President Trump has been back in office, we've seen them get outraged, I tell you, over the things that were on their daily to-do list when Biden was in office. It's a game that goes on all the time in Washington. For example, executive orders are always bad when the other party has their guy in the Oval Office. Sure, the Republicans squawk about it when there's a Dem in power, but they don't act as if they won't be responding in kind when they take back control of the executive branch. The Democrats' approach is to feign innocence and portray themselves as the spotless lambs of Capitol Hill. It's when discussing or dealing with the media that the Democrats' reality check is out of reality. I kid you not, DNC and Biden administration officials repeatedly complained about the unfair treatment of Sir Sniffs-a-Lot while getting from the media. They would be in the same media that insisted his obvious age-related dementia was a manifestation of his childhood lisp, a lisp we never heard about until old Joe couldn't speak English anymore. This week's adventures in Amnesia Land are about the interview that President Trump and Elon Musk did with Sean Hannity on Tuesday night. I will admit that Hannity doesn't interview Trump. He fawns over him, which is true. I don't really like Sean Hannity, but you know what? He's the one guy in the media who's doing that. Trump will face more tough questions in one interview from the largely hostile MSNers than Barack Obama did during his 8 years in office. So let Sean fawn. The formerly fawning left media hacks were aghast, of course, and this is not the DNC's committee house pet political. Last night's TV, millions of Americans tuned in to Fox News last night for the latest episode of Donald Trump and Elon Musk displayed seemingly genuine affection for one another as they kidded about Trump's old pen pal Sean Hannity for an hour-long interview on primetime TV. The reviews afterwards were predictably mixed. Trump supporters lapped up the warmth of the human interaction. His critics found it fawning, farcical, and utterly news-free. But whenever you sit on the ideological spectrum, his stuff matters. There's no more important political relationship in the USA today. For lovers of the hard-hitting political interviews, it was toe-curling in parts. Hannity, he's become one of your best friends. Musk said, I love the president. Well, you love the president? Musk, I think the president is a good man. Trump, that's a nice way he sold it. That's a nice way that he said that. They joked about being hated in liberal circles and lavished praise on one another's achievements. Oh, this is going to be hard. Hannity told his viewers at one point, I feel like I'm interviewing two brothers, but such displays were telling in themselves. The whole interview was designed to send a message to the Trump administration's opponents. Try as you might, you will not drive a wedge between us. Well, I hope you laughed as hard as I did. For the lovers of the hard-hitting political interviews line, I could gather a team of 100 researchers to scour the internet for evidence of his high holiness, the light bringer Barack Obama or Joe Biden ever being subjected to a hard-hitting interview, and they would still be working with nothing to show for it when President Trump is term limited. In one of his first press conferences with the White House press corps, Obama was asked what he found most enchanting about being president. That kicked off an 8-year-long cringe-a-thon of political interviews. The Chronicle's former 60 Minutes co-host, Steve Cross Long Run, is an Obama fluffer. From the presidential campaign of 2020 through last summer, the hard-hitting American journalist class never thought to ask Joe Biden why he couldn't speak coherently and was always shaking hands with people who weren't there. They were always quick to tell us that he was sharp as a tack, though, weren't they? Give it a rest, lefties. The first person who Trump sat down with after he won the election was Kristen Welker, who works for the NBC News evil empire. And it's not as if he's afraid to go into the lion's den and spend an hour fending off attacks and debunking false premises. He wants to relax in the comfort of a Fox News studio, let Sean Hannity gush himself for a while. He's earned it. And until political and other lefties complain about the softball interviews with Democrat politicians, they need to shut their idiot mouths. There's a house on the next street for sale for $60K. Isn't that awesome? I love that. I love it. But we also have this to share. Meghan Markle rebrands herself again, and it's already not going well. Now, I don't get too much into Meghan Markle because I really don't care. I mean, she's cute, but not like anything to write home about. I've done a lot of sales and marketing throughout my freelance career, though I can hardly call myself an expert. Even so, I don't think it takes an expert to realize that you can keep rebranding something over and over again, but if you get the same result, the problem is with the product, not the way that you're selling it. Over the last 6 or 7 years, Meghan Markle's attempt at selling anything substantial have failed almost every time. Her fake podcasting career was short-lived, with the exception of a documentary designed to mock her husband's family. The one that most people seemingly only viewed to hate watch, she has yet to make much out of anything of her huge Netflix contract. And in 2024, she launched a lifestyle brand with pretentious American Riviera orchard name. As best as I can tell, the only thing that ever came from it was that she sent some strawberry jams to celebrities. On Monday, our dear American Duchess of Nothing took to Instagram to announce that she is rebranding yet again. This time she's changing the name of American Riviera Orchard to As Ever because, well, I don't know why exactly. She mostly just talked about herself in the explanation, said something about how she secured the name back in 2022. Isn't that back when they just wanted privacy? As ever essentially means it as it's always been, she says with a giggle, adding, if you followed me since 2014, I've always loved cooking and crafting and gardening. This is what I do, and I haven't been able to share it with you the same way for the past few years, but now I can, of course. There will be fruit preserves, but I think we're all clear at this point. My jam is my jam. But there are so many more products that I just love that I use in my home, and it's time to share it with you. I think that's the problem. It's still not exactly clear what kind of products Megs will sell at this point besides jam. Apparently, that's because ultimately, no matter what she does, her products end up being herself. Megan thinks she's likable and talented enough to become some sort of big media personality based on her Meghan Markle-ness alone. She keeps throwing new ideas against the wall and hoping they stick. And at the moment, she fancies herself the next Martha Stewart. But all she'll ever to be to most people is the next Wallace Simpson. She could have prevented that. At one time, she was the woman who we were all rooting for, the beautiful American girl who was accepted into the royal family, who could marry one of Diana's handsome sons and become anything she wanted to be, which at the time appeared to be some sort of great humanitarian. Instead, she threw it all away because what Meghan Markle believes in the most is her own greatness. In the meantime, she's proven herself to be incredibly unlikable. She comes across as inauthentic, pretentious. She uses people, or so it seems, from her ex-husband to her own father to some of her best friends, and when they're no longer of use to her, she casts them aside. She is reportedly abusive to the people who work for her, both when she was a royal and now in the business world. Her attempts at being a humanitarian are superficial. They only seem to happen if there's a camera crew nearby. This rebranding is allegedly meant to match up with her new Netflix show with Love Macon, which is set to air in March. The show has been described as tone deaf at a time when Americans are struggling to simply buy groceries. The trailer features her frolicking around like some bored rich housewife arranging flowers and baking cakes with celebrity friends while she talks about her favorite topic, which is herself. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, which were going to change their lives for the better, influence world opinion, and leaders improve the environment and declared their life of service with their service is universal statement is reduced to flogging jam. Royal expert Hillary Ford, which told Fox News Digital quite a come down with Netflix making a last-ditch attempt. And the new brand is already potentially under fire. Politicians in the Spanish town of Porres, which is located in Morocco, have noted that as Ever's new logo, which features two birds facing a palm tree, bears a striking resemblance to the town's coat of arms. I don't know if she visited some algorithm sites and saw the coat of arms because the photo on her website is taken from Mallorca. The town's mayor, Francisca Mora, told the local newspaper she added that they're considering taking legal action. Well, at this point, I'm just wondering how many brand names Markle will go through until Netflix and the other companies stop bankrolling this woman and her useless husband. And well, then what? Do she and Harry get real jobs or go crawling back to his family? I decided to have an edible narrative plan. So this is if it hits the fan, I have food and or outsiders can't recognize this food. Thank you, Mary. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now I've got a couple more that I wanted to show you here, and this is going to be pretty interesting before I have to jump out of here. This is one that that as people are talking about USAID and how these workers were laid off, just remember how tone deaf that they were for this.
Harry, it's now April. Give us an update. Have you been able to find a job?
Not with the pipeline or any other thing right now, especially with the green energy projects he talked about.
Yeah. This was what Biden promised people. And how tone deaf was it? Yeah, they got music on that, so I'm not going to be playing that. It's got too much music. Sorry about that, but yeah, that's pretty crappy. That's pretty crappy. So I've got this one here for you that hopefully doesn't have music. We'll find out.
I got a call saying that I needed to go back into the office. Yeah. 5 days a week? Yep, welcome back. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Okay, well then you can retire. It's totally fine by us. You can just do whatever you want, all right? Why? We're just following the rules, and it says to come back to the office 5 days a week. I'm doing the same amount of work at my house than I do at the office. In fact, I actually do more because I'm not sitting in traffic for 3 hours. You're exaggerating. Been getting pissed. I live really close. It's not that bad. Yeah, it's freaking frustrating going into the office sitting in traffic. Paying for gas. Getting cut off. Okay, quit your whining. Brake checked. No. Okay, everybody else has been driving to the office just fine, and you can do it too. I'm just saying that if you want to let people go, then how about you just actually let them go? Man up. No, we're just putting the power of everything into your hands. Government. No. You don't need to do this quiet firing. Just fire us. If you want to fire us, fire us. If you don't, don't.
You could have taken the severance. You could have done that.
Well, the choice is yours. Don't dangle some freaking dumb carrot in front of us saying that we're going to get paid. Yeah, all the way till September. Yeah. I think Elon Musk did something similar to this and then did not pay anybody, so.
Oh, that's not true. No, that would be false. No, Elon Musk did put everyone on severance that was at X whenever he cut their jobs and said, go look elsewhere. Or you're welcome to come back. You just have to prove your worth to this company. You absolutely have to prove your worth to this company. And I don't know what this one is, but it looked really interesting, especially because I don't understand why she buys black dye for her roots and eyebrows. She must be very angry with herself.
last night, and the conversation my fiance and I had before we went to bed was, if this happens, we won't be having kids.
Oh.
At least not in the next 4 years. We definitely can't have them in the state we live in now.
Oh.
I'm already a high risk, and if we wait 4 years, I'll be pushing 36, which makes me high risk and a geriatric pregnancy, which means it's probably never going to happen for me. Not here in the U.S., definitely not here in Charleston, South Carolina. We could move back to our home state of Maine.
Oh, please do.
They're a protected state, or to Vermont, somewhere in New England.
Yeah. Bye.
But even then, who's to say what's going to happen? And then waking up to text between myself and my female friends and my LGBTQ plus friends, and not knowing what the world's going to look like for them either.
Oh my.
And then coming to school this morning and realizing someone might want to put a gun in my hand to protect these kids.
Yeah.
That's all we did at our last teacher in service day.
Yeah.
Was prepare for gun lockdowns.
Yeah.
I teach 2 and 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
And that's the world they're growing up into.
Why?
So,
why?
I hope you voted. And I hope you know what you did when you voted.
Oh, I do. Very happy with it. I vote for hopefully never happens to her. But being prepared is one of the most important things you can do. If you don't believe me, this next story should put quite a bit of fear into a lot of folks. This happened in San Bernardino. San Bernardino. This is frightening and should scare anybody. Construction people get laid off all the time. It's just how it is, and on to the next job. It also depends on what's happening in that particular area. If you have skill in working construction, you will always have work. Always have work. Same way with this being any sort of skilled labor, mechanic, gardener, whatever it might be. You're always going to have work. If I'm going to enjoy wine, want it made from grapes, not sour attitudes. Thank you, Deborah. But this right here is a harrowing story. Right here.
The victim walking out to her car. Watch as the suspect vehicle drives up. The suspect then approaching the victim. That suspect armed with a handgun. There's a fight over her purse, then a fight over the weapon. The victim doing everything she can to get away, then trying to run toward the restaurant. That's when the suspect, identified as Gerardo Llamas, opens fire, killing her.
Later on during the investigation, we located this SUV, being the suspect SUV, abandoned on the east side of town. In that vehicle, there was evidence leading us to additional suspects.
So how did they put it together? Well, police believe this suspect is the shooter, this suspect the getaway driver. The investigation revealed that the driver's brother actually worked for this suspect, who leased land at a pallet company from this suspect. And it turns out he is the victim's husband.
These criminals targeted this victim in a murder-for-hire scheme that was stemming from a contentious divorce from one of the suspects, Sergio Reveles.
Police say the victim and her husband owned properties worth millions of dollars, but they're not releasing any details about how the alleged murder-for-hire plot started. They did say the husband paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to have his wife killed. All 5 suspects now facing murder charges.
We will proceed on this matter as is currently alleged, with the potential of special circumstances as a result of some of the facts that you've heard here, and obviously the tragedy and travesty of having an individual that was essentially assassinated at one of her favorite eateries in San Bernardino. Is a very, very sad case.
Yeah. Yeah. Murder for hire. Nobody wins at all. Nobody wins in that situation. That is so horrible. So horrible. I cannot imagine ever feeling that would be necessary at any point in time. Oh my. Oof. That's what's called awesome police work. Yeah, that is awesome police work. Unfortunately, a lady lost her life because of that. But that's how police are, is they only investigate the crime. They don't do the pre-crime. That is up to you as a human being to prevent yourself from being in those situations. The love of money is the root of all evil. Well, I don't know. I could say there's a lot of other things that are evil, not always money. Money is a driving factor, but not the root of all evil. And it's interesting to me that people tend to forget these simple truths, is that there's always going to be evil in the world, and there's nothing better. There's nothing better than a troll. Nothing better than a troll to show you how evil things are. And then I'll end it today.
Honestly, if you're a young person traveling by yourself, just be so careful. I just went under a bridge and the troll stopped me. He didn't stop anyone else. And of course he asked me, do I have my magic beans with me? Of course, it's one fucking day. I leave the house without magic beans. I say, no, can I do a riddle instead? Yes. Okay. I do the riddle. Fine. And then I'm walking away and he calls after me like, oh, one more thing. And I'm like, what? And he goes, dragon. And I go, dragon what? And he goes, dragging these nuts across your face. To speak to me that way, with that crass vulgarity, when not only am I a lady, I'm the lady with the swagger and heart of an entrepreneur, and I will not be addressed in that fashion. Honestly,
bless your heart. I thought I was the only mentally challenged one here.
Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Early morning, rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning, Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz nuts, start the show, let's go. Spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning, Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz nuts, start the show, let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning, Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz nuts, start the show, let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning, Whiz is always best. Ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.